To talk more about that and what might happen internationally, let's continue our conversation with noted criminal defense attorney Geoffrey Nathan, who is Skyping in from Boston. So, Geoffrey, the question becomes, you've got people like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. They, in their pensions and with their retinues of friends, will have legal protection. But for a CIA agent, paid at the level of a civil servant, to have to lawyer up for possible inquiries by an international criminal court, that is somewhat daunting.
Indeed. It's one of the risks of having a job. It's one of the risks of not blowing the whistle when you think that your employer is telling you to do something illegal. And consequently, there may be a need for everyone involved to open their wallet and hire an attorney on their own dime.
Well, as I sit here and think about this, because when you're in government service in the intelligence agencies, to me it's akin to being in the United States military. You have dealt with military cases with adjudication under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. But is it too far-fetched to imagine that in some of the appropriations, those quote black appropriations, the CIA and other intelligence agencies could reprogram that for defense of their people in international court?
Oh, it is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there are prosecutions, if the taxpayers wind up footing the bill for their criminal defense, as well, maybe it should be.
We think back about this, and given your knowledge of history and jurisprudence internationally, if memory serves, there was a debate prior to the trials at Nuremberg, and Ohio Republican Robert Taft was very leery of an international tribunal in terms of a loss of American sovereignty. In no way pardoning the horrors of the Third Reich, but wondering if we were establishing a premise that would one day allow unfriendly governments or international tribunals that might have interest running counter to the United States to use that against us. Are we seeing a variation on Mr. Taft's fears at this point in time in the here and now?
If it goes that far, and I'm certainly not in favor of a World War II type prosecution of everyone involved here, I think that there should be a further congressional investigation as to exactly what happened. But in terms of a referral to a war crimes prosecution, that wouldn't be good for our country.
And with that in mind, if you could give free advice, you've already said lawyer up, but what would be the next step for the CIA agents and others who might be exposed legally internationally?
Absent their having some sort of protection in exchange for their full, true, complete, and honest statement as to what happened, I would advise anyone being subjected to congressional or other investigation, i.e. war crimes, to maintain their constitutional right to silence. No one has to participate in a criminal prosecution. You have the right to maintain your silence and or to be represented by counsel at any time, and that's the advice that I would give to anyone, including the Vice President of the United States, Mr. Cheney.
Well, we will tell you this, Geoffrey. We very much appreciate your time. Geoffrey Nathan, noted criminal defense attorney, joining us from Boston. Thanks very much for your insights.
Thank you.
And now, what's your thought about this? Do you believe some Americans will be prosecuted internationally? Why don't you tweet me your thoughts at Newsmax TV, #AmericasForum.